without further ado, does anyone have any questions about anything that we've discussed in the previous two lives? Any questions or anything you want me to go over? I can try to go over for you in the previous two lives. I think the first one was our introduction to using candle energy and the element of fire to manifest. And I think the second one was particularly working your candle, how we go about working our candle. So does anyone have any questions before we start in the new segment that you want to review or you want to share, or any experiences you've had so far with your own candle energy and manifesting through candles? Give everybody time to type because I know it takes a little bit to kind of sometimes enter in your comments. So I'll give everybody an opportunity to share anything that they want to share before we get started. Yes, no, maybe so. Okay, well, I guess not. So we shall get started. Okay, so again, tonight we're going to talk about interpreting our candle flame and interpreting our burn on our candle once it's burned out, and also while it is burning. There are certain things that you need to know when you are manifesting through candle energy or the element of fire. Once again, I always say, for me, the element of fire is the most intense element that you can use to manifest with. It ignites, it intensifies, it destroys, it builds up, it speeds things along. It can be an inferno. It can just be anything you need it to be. The element is very intense. So for me, using it to help with my manifestation practices just makes sense. But I also like to pay attention to how my candle is burning and what is happening to my candle during the burn process. Okay, so initially when you start burning your candle, typically your candle is going to be dressed, which means you're going to have, hold on a second, I should have this. Which typically means you'll more than likely have your spiritual herbs that you've chosen for your particular manifestation practice. You're probably going to have some oils in there. And of course, they're going to sit right here on the top of this candle. And this is where they're going to be. Now, if you're like me, when you dress your candle, I have a tendency to overdress my candle. And keep in mind, when you are dressing your candle, just because you add more stuff to it doesn't change the outcome. It doesn't. Adding more does not change the outcome. So I have to be mindful of how much I put inside of here because I can overdress it sometimes. And, oh, the smoke. And what typically happens when you overdress your candle and you start and you light it initially, it will burn off whatever is around the top. And so if you have a lot of herbs and you have a lot of oils here, of course, the flame is going to burn that off, which subsequently may give you a black soot around the top. Okay. Now, keep that in mind, because the second part of the live is going to be when we talk about the soot. But just keep that in mind. So when you initially start your candle and you start your burn, your flame may be a little small because a lot of times if your wick is too long, you may want to trim your wick down. I don't usually trim mine down, but sometimes I can find some that are kind of high, kind of tall, and I'll trim the wick down. So initially when you started, your wick will burn down into whatever, into kind of like, it'll burn halfway down into the candle. So the initial flame may not be a tall flame. It may not be, just this tall flame. It may be very small. So you have to give it time to burn itself down. I'm sorry, the smoke is getting to me. To burn itself down, and also to burn off the herbs and the oils that you have on top of here. So once you get it going, then you can determine what type of flame you have on your candle. So I always say initially when you're doing it, because I usually do my candles at night, and I'll start the burn. So by in the morning, I can pretty much tell what kind of burn, what kind of flame that I have on my candles. Now, ideally, we want a steady, tall, straight flame. That is the ideal flame. That is the flame that we all want on our candles. But sometimes we don't get it. Now, I'm going to explain to you some of the differences in some of the flames that you could get on your candle. So, if after a few hours or after you've lit your candle, you're able to determine what kind of flame you have. If you have a steady, tall, straight flame, or if you have what they call a dancing flame, your flame moves. If you have one of those two flames, that is an indication that your request has been received by the universe, and it has been received in a positive manner. Okay, so I'm going to repeat that. If you have a steady, tall, straight flame, and this is anytime during the burn process, because you may not start off with that flame, but as your candle burns down and you're infusing your candle with your energy and the universe is working with your request, your flame may become steady and straight. So don't get alarmed if it's not initially like that in the first few days. Because this is a 7-day candle, and typically this is supposed to burn for 7 days. Sometimes it burns for a little bit less, but you will get a few days out of this. So you'll be able to determine what kind of flame you have. So ideally, like I said before, we would like a steady, tall, straight flame, or a dancing flame, one that has movement, like a fluid movement to it. And that is your indication that your request has been received. I am going to have to move this out of my face because it's killing me. Your request has been received by the universe in a positive manner, or depending on what you're trying to manifest, if you're trying to manifest something that has to do with someone in particular, that means your request of that person, or with regard to that person, has been received by that particular person. Whatever that may be, I'm not sure, because I don't know what kind of candles and what kind of manifestation you're trying to do over there. But wherever or whichever, it has been received in a positive manner, and you should anticipate a positive outcome. Okay? Now, if you burn your candle and within a few days you notice you have a low flame, like you have a very small flame. It's a steady flame, but it's very small. Now, that does not mean that your manifestation is not being received in a positive manner. That does not mean that your manifestation will not be effective ultimately. Typically what that says is that the energy behind it, which is the energy from you, was not very strong when you started the manifestation process. So you may have started your process and your mind may not have been as clear as you wanted it to be. Your body may have been not as clear. You may have been sick, or had a cold, or not feeling your best physically. That's why I always say, don't try to manifest or start something when you are not physically feeling well, because that energy does come through your manifestation. So you may have physically not been feeling well, your mind may not have been clear, or your request may not have been clear, like your petition may not have been written as clear as it could have been, or your thoughts or meditations or whatever energy you put into this may not have been as clear as it could have been. It may have been good enough, but it's not as strong as it could have been. Now, that does not mean that your manifestation will not happen. What it might do to it is it may slow the process down, or the end result may not be as beneficial as it could have been had you been in the correct headspace or heart space or spirit space or physical space, or if you had made your petition just a little bit more clearer. So a low, steady flame does not mean an unsuccessful manifestation. It typically means it may take a little bit longer than you may have liked it to take, or the results of it may not have been as optimal as you may have wanted them to be. So just keep that in mind when you start your manifestations, that you're clear in mind, you're clear in body, you're clear in spirit. Try to avoid trying to manifest, starting a manifestation when you're sick, because that does carry over to your manifestation process. Okay, so the next one is a fast burn, which means you started this candle. Typically, if you light this candle and you let it burn continuously, this candle probably, it's supposed to be a 7-day candle. If you let it burn continuously, you might get about 4 or 5 days out of it. It may go 7, it just depends. But if you get a fast burn, which means this candle burned completely in a short amount of time, that is a good sign. That is a good sign. That means you were very clear in mind, body, and spirit. You were very clear in your petition. And throughout the manifestation of the days that you were manifesting, you were very clear. Your energy was clear. You were working your candle. You were putting your energy into your candle. So you were really pushing that process along. And the universe received that and was able to work with you and work with your energy to burn this out and to receive your manifestation. So that is awesome. It doesn't mean anything in a negative way if you have a slow burn. Yours is just a steady burn. You're going to get the same results. It's just a steady burn. But if it's a fast burn, that's an indication that this went really, really well. Now, keep in mind, even though it's a fast burn, it can also turn into kind of like something that you may not have wanted. If you have a fast burn and it's an even burn, burned all the way down, wonderful, great. Now, you can also have a fast burn, but it's uneven in how it is burning. Like sometimes the candle will burn down, and then on certain sides of it, it's not burning all the way down. You may have this side still has wax on it, or this side may have wax, but it's not burning evenly all the way down like you would like it. So if you have an uneven burn, typically that means somewhere along the line you are no longer grounded. You're not grounded in what you're doing. You've become distracted. You got other stuff on your mind. You're starting to doubt your manifestation, probably. You're starting to doubt it. Or you're not spending as much time as you should spend with your candle and speaking your affirmations into it, working your candle, or, just giving it the attention that it needs. So now the energy is still there, but it's a little bit unbalanced. It's not grounded. So what you need to do at this point, you need to, center yourself, get yourself grounded, get your thoughts together, get your energy back together, go back in and start putting your energy into your candle to even your burn out. So that's what that means. Sometimes you will get a burn and you have what we call a popping sound, or your candle is making a hissing noise. There's some kind of noise coming from your candle. Typically that means that is a communication. That is a communication of universe and the spirit or whomever or whatever is working in your benefit for your manifestation. that is a communication. So if you hear a popping or hissing or any type of noise coming from your candle, that's typically an indication of some type of communication with universe at the time regarding what you're trying to manifest. Now, the last thing that you may have, and I don't think I've ever seen this before, but you may have dual flames, which is your candle flame, it's one flame, and then all of a sudden it starts doing this thing where it's two flames. It splits into two. Now, a dual flame can go either way. It could be a positive or a negative. Now, a dual flame typically means there are forces, spirits, angels, whatever you resonate with, are working together to bring your manifestation to fruition, or they are working against each other. So you may have that. And the way that you determine which way it's going is you have to kind of like look around you and see how the manifestation process is going. Let's say, for instance, you were trying to manifest money. I always use money. Let's do love. Let's just say you were trying to manifest some peace in your relationship. Okay. You guys may have been having communication issues, or it just has not been the easiest time in your relationship, and you're trying to manifest like a calm over your relationship. And then all of a sudden you start getting this dual flame in your candle. And you want to figure out, what does that mean? Are these forces working together, or are they working against each other? You have to then self-evaluate the situation in your relationship. Are you guys a little bit more harmonious now? Are you guys getting along a little bit better? Are you spending more time together? Are you starting to feel like you did when you first met each other, and you just feel a sense of peace? The arguments have kind of like gone away, or they're not as big and volatile as they were before. So if you notice during that time that that's happening, that means these forces are working together to help you. Now, of course, it could be the opposite. If you guys are like still fighting and it's getting worse, and you feel like you're pulling apart, and you feel like it seems like the situation is worse now than ever, then that's probably an indication that whatever is working against each other. At that point, you have some options at that point. You could try to redirect your energy and see if that will help. Sometimes it will turn the situation around, or that may be an indication that you may need to stop the process and start over. And start over with a brand new candle. Maybe you chose the wrong candle color. Maybe you could have used different herbs this time. You may just need to rethink the process. You can just snuff the candle out, thank the universe for its help so far, reground yourself, and figure out what's the best course of action at this time. You may not even want to try it again for a while. You know, you may want to give it a break and just see if it just course corrects itself. But like I said, you can try to figure out whether or not which option is best for you, whether you want to continue on with it, reground yourself, see if that helps, or if you can so you can just have just start it over if you want to. It says, can you cut the flame so you only have one? What do you mean cut the flame? Like cutting the wick? If you're talking about cutting the wick, yeah, you can do actually some maintenance to it. that would be what, like redirecting your energy. You can definitely do some maintenance to it. Yes, yes. You can definitely do some maintenance to it. That's like I said, we talked about last week about working your candle. You have to get in there sometimes and physically work your candle, pouring the wax off. Maybe the wax is affecting the burn. So you may want to pour the wax off to see if that clears up the flame, or if it's uneven and maybe you need to take some of the wax out, or you need to cut the wick down. You can do all of those things to see if you can course correct the candle. But if you continue to get it again, if it splits again, more than likely, you probably need to stop and start over. So yes, that's a definitely a good point. I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, you can definitely work your candle. This is your candle. You have to put your, not just your energy, but your physical energy into this, and making sure that, you know, it is clear and it is working at its best for you. So yeah, so you may have to cut the wick. You may need to pour some of the wax off, just to see if you can fix it. If it's more or less something that has to do with just the candle itself, and instead of just, you know, the energy, just the candle itself. So yes, you can definitely do that. But if you do all of that and it still splits, I would probably say snuff it out, thank the universe for its assistance and its guidance, and I would probably start over. Or you might want to start with a different type of candle. You may want to start with a different type of candle. Maybe you need to do a blockbuster candle, or a road opener candle, or a reversal candle. Maybe you need more of a specialty candle for your situation. You just kind of have to figure out, you know, what in your spirit feels better for you. So those are the basic candle flames. I'm sure there's countless more, but those are your basic candle flames. So at this point, does anyone have any questions about interpreting their flame? I'll give everybody a minute to type it on their phone. You have any questions so far about interpreting your candle flame? Because if not, then we're going to move to your candle burn during and after, and interpreting once it's burned all the way out. So no questions? Okay, great. Okay, so now next we're going to talk about, as I said before, your candle. Okay, what if the flame goes out? Should I light it back or just start over? Okay, if the flame goes out, first assess whether it went out because the wick was drowned out by the wax. So you want to first assess the candle and make sure it's just not something that has to do with the quality of the candle. So make sure that's, because sometimes the wick will go out because it got drowned out by the wax. So make sure that first. If it's not that, I would relight it. I would set my intentions again, and I would relight it. But if it went out again, then I probably wouldn't do it again. That, to me, that would be my indication that either my intentions weren't clear, or this is probably not something that I should be doing right now. I would just feel like it just wouldn't be the right time for it. So yes, initially, if you want to, definitely rework the candle, clean the candle up, reset your intentions, make sure your petition is clear, make sure the quality of the candle is not being affected, and relight it. And if it goes out again, then I would take that as an indication that apparently my intentions aren't clear. Maybe I'm not using the correct candle. Maybe it's just not time for what I'm trying to manifest. I would probably not relight it again. after that. Does that answer your question? Good question. Okay. All right, so interpreting your smoke or the soot on the candle. Our goal once we do our candles is always to get a clean burn. Okay, you're welcome. To get a clean burn. And I have some candles that I've been using to manifest some stuff. And we're going to look at those. So we always want at the end, once our candle goes out, we want it to have a clean burn. Because a clean burn indicates that we did it right. Like then our manifestation is going to show up the way we want it to show up. And we know that it's been done properly. It's to get a clean burn. Now, when I say a clean burn, that means your candle is clear. Your candle is clear. This was a candle that I did for myself. As you can see, a little love candle that I did for myself. And this is the end of it. And for the most part, it's clear. This is another candle. This one was this was my business candle. So this is my business candle. So the only thing left down in here is the remnants of the herbs that I used in there. And the same with this one. And this was my money candle. I always have a money candle burning. You need to always have some type of money candle burning, some type of money altar, some type of money jar, some type of something to have your money continuously flowing into your home. If you don't, I don't understand why you don't. So I always have a money candle going. So we're going to talk about what these candles look like and how I interpret these candles. Okay, so basically, anytime you have black soot, and this is what I consider black soot on your candle, that's an indication of some type of negativity, some type of blockage, something working against what you're trying to manifest. White soot, because you'll find your candle sometimes has they will have a white residue to it. White soot. I wouldn't totally say that's negative. I would say that the manifestation went well, but it didn't go as well as it could have gone because the soot is white. So it could have went better. It went okay. And of course, we want a clear candle. We want clear results. That means I was spot on. That means my petition was great. My intentions were great. My spirit was in the right place. My head was in the right place. I worked my candle. I can expect to see positive results from that. Okay. Now, I want to make sure that I make this very clear. I did say black soot means negativity, and it does. But I don't want you to freak out because you saw some black soot in your candle. And this is a good example of that, because if you look at this candle, it's pretty much clear until you see that little spot. Now, remember at the beginning of the live, I told you that I am a habitual overdresser of my candles, which means I put way too much stuff in the top. Again, putting more does not mean that the results are going to be better. It has nothing to do with it. I just have a heavy hand when it comes to dressing my candles, and I'm trying to get better with that. So what happens is when you're an overdresser like I am, or when you have your herbs and oils here and they're too close to the wick, and when you light it, of course the flame is going to catch hold of that. A lot of times you will get that black soot at the top. So I don't want you to start freaking out saying, oh my God, somebody put a hex on me, or somebody did something to me, or I didn't do my manifestation right and it's not going to come out right. No, that is not always the case. Typically when it's like right here, that means you probably put too much stuff in it. That's what that probably means, because I get it all the time. This has happened to me, that I have been trying to do better at dressing my candles on the top. So a lot of times, I'm not going to say all the time, but most of the time when you get the black soot around here, you just put too much stuff in here, and it'll clear up. If you did it right, it'll clear up. Okay, so just say for instance your ratios were perfect and you got your candle started and then it's burning, and then all of a sudden you notice that it's burning black on one side, or whichever side. Again, I don't want you to freak out, because more than likely what has happened, your wick has traveled. So you need to make sure that your wick has not traveled. A lot of times when you're buying a candle, you want to look at the bottom of the candle and see exactly where the wick is. Now see, this one right here, I didn't pay attention when I bought it, because you'll notice that the wick is not in the center. It's actually like here off to the side, which means when it burns, it's going to be more over to this side, which is probably what happened with this one. So what ends up happening is, as the wax loosens up, your wick will start to travel, and it will sometimes lean up against the glass. That's why you're going to catch this, because every day you're going to come and check your candle. Okay, that's another reason why you need to check your candle, because if you see the wick has traveled to one side or the other and it's burning, then you need to move that wick back to the center, which means you would snuff the candle out, let the wax harden or semi-harden, and then just manipulate the wick back into the middle, okay? Because you want it to stay in the middle. Now, say for instance, your wick is in the middle. It had nothing to do with it moving. There is no malfunction in your candle. That means if it has burned and you start noticing a black soot on the candle, and it has nothing to do with the wick traveling, that is an indication of some blockage. There is some blockage somewhere. It can be blockage again from you and your energy. It can be blockage from the universe. And it may be because the universe is not, you have not made it clear what you're trying to manifest. The universe also may be saying that you shouldn't be trying to manifest this, that this just is not working. This is not going to work. It may be blockage from outside forces working against it. So at that point, you want to self-check yourself, make sure it's not you. And then clear your mind, set your intentions again, spend a little bit more time with this candle, making sure that it's burning correctly. What you want to do at that point is let it burn all the way out. Don't stop it. Don't stop it. Let it burn all the way out, because it may clear up once you've cleared yourself. So once you've cleared yourself, and you'll know it, because it'll start to burn clear again. So anywhere within this, sometimes you will get, and this is a lot of time what happens is, hold on a second. A lot of times what will happen is, and I know this happens with me sometimes, is I'll start doubting my manifestation. I'll start questioning, you know, is this really something that I want? I'll start questioning, I'm not really sure that this is going to work. I'm not really sure that I want this. I'll start doubting it. I'll start doubting it. And I'll notice that it'll start getting black. But that's me putting doubt into it. I'm blocking my own manifestation. So once I notice that, and once I start recognizing that that's what I'm doing, I have to redirect my thoughts. I have to redirect my energy, and it clears up. If it's meant for me, it's meant for me, and it will clear up. Another thing is, now sometimes, before I get to that, like this one is real clear. This was my business candle, which is going great. This was a love candle, and I consider it clear simply because a lot of this that's left in here is from the herbs and oils that I had in here. But to me, it's clear, and I remember that the wick traveled here, so it's clear on this one. This one, it looks cloudy, but for me, it's clear because sometimes you have to check the integrity of your candles. Sometimes if you buy like a cheap candle or something, all candles are not made the same. And sometimes they burn a little bit differently. So maybe the paraffin in it is different. So it may fool you into believing like, okay, this is cloudy. When in actuality, it's not really cloudy. It's just a candle probably wasn't a quality candle, and mixed with all the oils that you put in here, it left like a residue in here. You'll be able to tell the difference in a white, when it's white soot. It will be white. It won't look like this. This just looks like the candle was probably cheap. It was a poor candle. You'll be able to determine if it's white, because it's going to be white. It'll be cloudy. Now, another thing you have to also look out for, because this happened before. If there is like major blockages, whether it's from you, the universe, or outside forces, your candle may break during the process of it burning. I have had a candle to break. You can, now it's gonna break, let me see. Let's see. What if you get a lot of black soot from the beginning as you light it with a straight high flame? Should you leave it? So you got a lot of black soot from the beginning. Okay, like I said, if you're dressing it on the top, a lot of times the black soot right at the top, it's just having to do with the burning off of your herbs and your oils. So I would not be too alarmed by that. So I would definitely let it continue to burn. Now, if it continued with black soot all the way down, then that may be an indication that you got some negativity going on with it. But if it's like right here when you initially start, it's probably from the things that you've dressed it with. I hope that answers your question. But I typically like for a candle just to burn on out. There's only like a few times that I'm going to start over. And once you start, doing your candles more and you start reading them more, you'll know when you'll feel it when you should start over. So I hope that answers your question. Okay, back to a broken candle. Okay, a broken candle, everything is always can be positive and negative. And I've had this happen before. I've had a candle where I can tell it was not going well. It was burning dark. It was not going well. And I typically let it go ahead and burn. So I knew there was a blockage there. I knew that. If your candle breaks before it burns all the way out, if it breaks and it is a clean break, which means it probably just cracks, but it stays together, that usually means you were experiencing some kind of blockage and now you've had a breakthrough. That's usually what that means. If it breaks and it stays together, then you were probably experiencing some kind of blockage, and now whatever blockage has been broken through. Now, which this happened to my daughter. Her candle not only broke, but it broke open. Like, it broke open and the wax came out. I would say you need to leave that alone. Yeah, you need to leave that one alone. Because for me, that would be my indication that something is working against this. And it's not for my good. So you probably, I would suggest that you leave that alone. If that candle shatters and breaks open, yeah, you need to leave that one alone. And you probably need to do some type of protection work or whatever you need to do, because there's something working against you on that. Okay, so that's my thing on broken candles. Also, I wanted to sneak this part in on your incense smoke and your sage smoke. Just to kind of quickly tell you about that. Be mindful of paying attention to how your smoke, when you're burning incense or you're burning sage, pay attention to how the smoke is moving. If the smoke is moving in a straight line, straight up from your incense or your sage, it's just straight up, that means your energy is heavy. It's either heavy in your space that you're living in, or it's heavy with you. So straight up and down, just straight, yeah, it's heavy, real heavy. You want your smoke to dance. You want it to be free. You want it to dance. That's with your incense, and that's with your sage. So you want it to dance. Another thing is, incense smoke or sage smoke, if it gravitates towards you, that means your energy is very clear. It's very open. Like, that's a good thing. If it gravitates towards away from you, then you got some heaviness going on with you internally, and you probably need to take a spiritual bath or something. So that's my little tidbit on smoke. Okay. So, oh, wow, I'm doing a good time. I'm getting better with these lives and the timing. So, at this point, if anyone has any questions that I could possibly answer, now keep in mind, I do not deem myself an expert on anything. I am always learning. I'm always growing. I'm just sharing with you some things that work for me. Okay? And I can't say that that's the right way you should do it, because when you're manifesting, or when you are doing your spiritual practices, or when you're doing your magic, whatever you want to call it, it is individually yours. There's no such thing as you're doing something wrong. This is you. This is coming from you. You determine what fits you, what feels good to you, and what works for you. So what works for me necessarily may not work for you. You may take some of the things that I say and be like, oh, okay, well, I like some of that, and I like some of what she said, but that doesn't work for me. You tailor this to fit you. And also, every time you do a manifestation, whether you use candles or an altar or whatever tools that you use, you may not use it the same way every time. Because for me, I do my money candles differently. Because I don't want to ever get stagnant. I do what feels good to me at the time. You know, I used to be like, I used to write stuff down, because I'm a big thing about writing stuff down. But then I found out that just because I did it this time, when I try to do it again, I don't feel that way. It doesn't resonate with me to do it that way. So I'm going to do it differently. So I really got away from writing things down, because, I didn't want to restrict myself. I didn't want to restrict the universe. I didn't want to say like, oh, I wrote this down, this is the way it has to go, and I always have to do it that way. No, that's not true. It's not true for me. Now, writing stuff down may work for you. You may want to write it down, and it works like this, and this is the way I'm going to keep doing it. That is you. But that's the beauty of spirituality. It is your individual journey. It's the way you do things, and you don't let anybody tell you any differently. at all. So I'm off my soapbox on that. Does anyone have any questions that I can answer before we conclude this live? Yes, no, maybe so. Now, keep in mind, as I always say, if you would like for me to customize a ritual manifestation candle for you, please visit my Etsy store. So you go to etsy.com. My store is Melanin Goddess Life. All my products are on there. I can customize a candle particularly for your situation. You just go in and order. I have specialty candles on there that you may want, that you may need, but I definitely could customize a candle for you. I put everything that you're going to need for your particular situation, send it out to you. The only thing that you're going to do is set your intentions, put your energy into your candle, whether it be writing your petition, meditating, whatever you want to do, putting your DNA in it, because I'm a big believer in putting a part of yourself into your candle, whether that means blowing your breath into it or spitting into it or whatever you want to do. But I'm just going to put the tools together for you, send it to you. You're going to do the work. This is, once this candle leaves my hand, this is your candle. You're going to do the work. So yes, if you want me to customize a candle, I will be more than honored to do that for you. Again, it's at my Etsy store, Melanin Goddess Life. I have my candles on there. I also do honey jars, and I may start a segment on honey jars to tell you how to do that. I have mojo bags on there. So I have everything that you need so you can start manifesting and designing the life that you desire, because this works. It works. You can do this. The magic and the energy and the manifestation power is within you. You can do this. These are just tools to take your manifestation process to another level. It's in you. You can do this. We all have the gift of manifestation. It's just some people have fine-tuned theirs. Some people have discovered theirs and they're able to do it effortlessly. Some people need a little help. I can help you. I can get you started with the tool. But the magic is in you. The energy is in you. You do the work. So, again, if anybody has any questions before we conclude the live. Also, I am thinking about doing, and I don't know if this is going to be like a series or it'll just be one little live or class or something. I am thinking about doing a live on manifesting through sex. And let me tell you, manifesting through sex, you think that your manifestation process is like on point with these candles? Manifesting through sex is like the ultimate manifestation tool. I don't think I don't think that there's anything more intense than that. So I'm thinking about doing that. I'm still kind of meditating on it because I want to do it, make sure it's informative, but what I want to make sure that I'm able to give you as much detailed information as I can give you, but I want to keep it tasteful. And I want to make sure there's an interest for it, like somebody wants to hear it. So if you are interested and would like for me to do a live on manifesting through sex and manifesting through masturbation, which that includes that too, then leave me a comment on this live. And you know what, don't leave me a comment. leave me a heart. I don't care what color heart it is. Just leave me a heart in the comments. Not that little like button, but leave me a heart in the comments. And if I get enough interest, I will do the live. How about that? But, so, yeah, I'll do the live then. That will be my next one. So, anyway, this is our hour. We're exactly an hour. Man, I'm good. So we're going to conclude tonight's live. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for watching and taking time out of your lives. I know that this is a stressful time for everyone. I know that this is, this is crazy. And I do really appreciate you taking out time just to be with me in the middle of all this chaos and craziness. So thank you so much for that. I hope that everyone has enjoyed tonight's live. I hope that you've learned something. If you have any more questions or anything, just send me a message. I will definitely get back with you. Again, if you want the live on manifesting through sex and masturbation, please leave a heart in the comments. And if I get enough interest in it, we will definitely do it. I will also say, please be safe during this time. Again, use your universal precautions. Social distancing. I don't know what the hell they came up with that, but social distancing or whatever. But do not cut yourself off from the world. Do not let yourself be driven crazy by what's going on. Continue to live your best life, to continue to love yourself and the people around you. And we're definitely going to pray for ourselves and pray for Mother Earth, and that this passes very soon. Thank you so much. You guys have a good night. Be safe. And I love you. Bye-bye.